industrial parks to add value, to add to process, so that we get more value from our production. And if you saw this, this is when is today? Sunday. If you saw last week, we just advertised for the infrastructure of our 6 special economic zones. Again, these will become engines of exports because we have to grow our exports. We need to stem imports into Kenya, but we need to increase more exports so that we can get more revenue, grow jobs locally. And you see, my focus is to make sure that we expand the space of people who are working. And it is going to be deliberate. It's going to be difficult, but it must be deliberate. That is why housing is one plank where we're going to create jobs. Agriculture is another space in the special economic zones and the exports, and that space we're going to grow jobs. The digital space, which I have negotiated with Facebook, I've negotiated with Meta, for us to have digital jobs in Kenya. You already know that the number of people who are working in the digital space, and we are going to export more labor. As I talk to you here, there are people being trained in NYS today for people who are on the space of export of labor, because we have to have
identify them?
Interventions. We have to have. I mean, it is different. They are nurses. There are adverts that the Ministry of Labor goes out to look for them.
Mheshimiwa Rais, kuhusiana na ada ya nyumba umeitaja, unafahamu kwamba kuna Wakenya wengi bado hawajaridhia licha ya kwamba kuna agizo kutoka mahakamani, na nakumbuka juzi ukiwa kwenye mkutano wa diaspora pia ulisisitiza ukasema kwamba housing levy lazima itekelezwe na kadhalika. Hebu tuelezee, kuna mabadiliko yoyote baada ya mahakama kutoa agizo lake na wewe kuendelea kusukuma kwamba ni sharti Mkenya atozwe hii ada ya nyumba?
Mahakama walisema hivi. Mahakama walisema hii ada ni sawa kama Wakenya wote watalipa. Right? That's what they said. They said it should not be discriminatory.
Mr. President, they didn't say that.
Kuna mkakati
they said it is as it is discriminatory. And therefore unconstitutional.
No,
you're interpreting.
The problem of unconstitutional was made by the media.
No, they said it's null and void.
So if it is unconstitutional, why did the court say we should continue to collect?
Because there's an application for stay orders.
How do we continue? No, how do we continue to do unconstitutionality?
No, Mr. President, at least you can agree on what the court said.
Yes.
And the court said that we've looked at everything and we arrive at the decision that this is discriminatory. Because of that, it doesn't agree with the Constitution or Article 10 on governance. And therefore it is null and void.
No.
Kingine ambacho labda Mheshimiwa Rais nikuongezee, ilisema mahakama pia ilisema kwamba hakuna mkakati maalum kupitia KRA jinsi fedha hizi zitakusanywa.
Absolutely. Now that is what they told us to fix. And that is why we now have a law in Parliament. What the court said there are institutions that are not paying. There are groups that are not paying, that are not paying in the current setup. And we have said we are expanding the net of the payers. It will give us actually more money so that we can do more houses, which is a very positive thing that the court has done. And they have said establish a mechanism how this money will be used. We have put a mechanism in law how it's going to be used. Let me tell you, good people, we can argue about this or that or the other. My question is, do we have a problem of housing in Kenya? Yes. Do we have a problem of jobs in Kenya? Yes. Can we sort out? Because, it is one thing to argue, even if you are a judge. And I am sure that is what went through their minds. Because the judges are also Kenyans. They know we have millions of young people out there who are jobless. A story was carried, for example, in one of the media houses here. I think I saw it on KTN, saying the crime rate in Ruiru has gone down because there are many people working in the housing program in Ruiru. I did not make the story. It was in KTN. And that is the truth. So even as you sit as a judge, Even as you ask me a question as a journalist, we are discussing housing. Housing is an opportunity to do three major things. Number one, to create jobs. Is it a good thing for us to create jobs? These are not the children of William Ruto. These are the children of all Kenyans that will work. They will work as architects, they will work as engineers, they will work as carpenters, they will work as masons, they will work in whatever field. Some of them will be working in factories that are creating steel. Some of them will work in factories that are making for us cement to do the houses. Is it a good job? Is it a good thing? Do we have a problem of unemployment in Kenya? Yes. We need to sort it out. It has to be sorted out somehow. Number two, do we have a problem of industrialization? Do we have a problem of manufacturing? Yes. How do we create more manufacturing jobs, if not through programs like housing? How do we reduce the problem of land fragmentation, where land that is supposed to be used for agricultural productivity is now being subdivided for people to live? If we provide alternative housing, we will save the land that is going to settlement. We will use it to produce food so that we stop the slide into food insecurity, and we begin to tame the problem of high prices of food.
Mr. President,
these are obvious, and that is why I am very confident that the court will look at what is the public interest, what is the public good that comes with housing. Let me ask finally, to own a house in Kenya today, you need to have 4 million, 5 million, the simplest, the cheapest house. We are giving an opportunity through this affordable housing program for a mama mboga or a boda boda guy to buy a house of 400,000 where they can pay 4,000 shillings a month and eventually own a house. I mean, we are giving dignity to every Kenyan. And let me tell you, finally, housing was a program that was in the UDA manifesto, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, 1.5%. It was in Azimio manifesto, 1.5%. Yeah, it's not, and we all know that it is the right thing to do because other countries have done it and they have made a big difference. We have had this housing thing for as long as I have been a politician, but nobody has had the courage to implement it. Nobody has had the plan to do it.
Have you stopped to wonder or ask what the people think, what their sentiments are about this? Because times are tough, Mr. President.
Put in mind, 70% are saying no to this program.
Yeah.
Just wait. I want you to go to where these Kenyans are working. Go and ask them. Go and ask them. The beneficiaries, the people who are working today, they are not even the owners. They are just working. Go and ask them. And you see, this is the beginning of a program. Give it time. Kenyans will come to appreciate that, yes, my son is working, my daughter is working. If they are not working at the construction site, they are an architect, or they work in some company, they are an accountant in some company that is doing cement and construction products. And let me ask you, countries like Singapore, like Malaysia, like Korea, we all have been talking about them. We've been saying, oh, you know, we were at the same level with Korea, but today they are different from us. They made tough decisions. That's why they are where they are. We have to make tough decisions if we have to catch up. I mean, if we want to continue to make convenient, you know, politically correct decisions, we will continue to remain in the same place. And I know, for example, that it is politically expensive. You know, I would be a very popular person if I abolished tomorrow. I said, okay, let's forget about the housing thing. People will call for
Mr. President, I don't think there's anyone saying that you should stop it.
I don't want to be.
Mr. President, if you remember, Mr. President,
I want to transform Kenya.
Yes, if you remember,
transforming Kenya is not a walk in the park. Transforming Kenya is not going to be done using convenient, politically correct, popular decisions.
Right.
Some of the decisions may be difficult now, but we will all see the benefits as we go.
No doubt
You're
about
telling
that,
me
Mr.
that
President.
it is the wrong time. We've had housing as a plan for the last 50 years. Are you telling me for the last 50 years there was no correct time? It is never too late. It is never wrong to do the right thing.
Mr. President, just let's stay to the housing fund, because when it started and you were walking around the country and selling this dream to many Kenyans, you told us this was a fund and we will contribute, and if you didn't want the house or didn't benefit, at the end of the day, you would get your money out at some point. Then overnight, in Parliament, it turned into a levy and a tax. What really changed, and what caused you to move from a fund which was really, really contributory to this discriminatory fund that even the court has found to be? And does this mean that this plan changed overnight, or what really happened to cause you to make these changes? And just to stay on that point, was it necessary that we would start all these funds together in terms of, was it a must that you start the housing fund? You are here fighting the fire of housing. Mm-hmm. Again, you start the health crisis. Before this is done, even it's off, you are dealing with the taxation, And because of that, nearly every government agency is now waking up with taxes. So you find, levies going up by 3,900%. You find even pets now they're going to be taxed. And Kenyans are wondering, what has happened? Do you feel that you're out of touch with the people that you lead? Because then it will explain some of the decisions that you're doing.
Thank you very much for asking that question. Let's start with the levy. I proposed a fund. Yeah? There is a principle in Kenya today called public participation. It went to public participation. And Parliament, when coming from public participation, came and said it should instead be a levy. Right? Mm. And as president, if the people said they wanted this changed into a different way of doing it, I agreed that, okay, let's go this way. But what did I do to make sure that it captures everybody? We changed the design of the whole delivery of the housing so that now we have social housing for the people at the bottom of the pyramid. We'll pay 4,000 or 5,000 shillings and get a house. We have affordable housing for people in the middle who will pay between 5,000 and 15,000 every month. But we have also included 30% of all the units to include the people who largely are the contributors. The people who are the biggest contributors, the people in the middle class, who will pay now between 15,000 and 30,000. So we have made everybody a beneficiary, in the chain, again, to mitigate against what you're saying. And what have we done? Mortgage today is around 17%. What we have done is that we have now reduced the mortgage. We are using the fund to mitigate the mortgage that you pay. And it is now gazetted that the people who will buy social houses, their mortgage will be at 3%. The people who will buy affordable houses, their mortgage will be at 6%. And the people who will be buying the market houses, we will reduce their mortgage by half. Even you. Instead of paying 18%, you will now have an opportunity to pay at 7%. So that way, we have carried everybody, making sure that everybody who is paying has a chance to own a house. And that is how we are delivering.
Mr. President, on the question of accountability, because it is good that you highlight what happened at the public participation, and you say that Kenyans said they don't want it as it was structured that time. You also attribute responsibility to Parliament that they decided it should be a levy. Then you say, yourself, you said, let us change how it works. So I see a bit of distribution of responsibility. But did Kenyans tell you they wanted to be a levy or a tax?
What Kenyans told me is that they want jobs. Yeah?
On that particular question,
Kenyans
the participation
told me,
was on the housing levy, Mr. President.
I was, but you know, when Kenyans tell you they want jobs, it is you as a leader to figure out where those jobs are going to come from.
And so you presented a housing levy in the finance bill of 2023.
I presented to the people of Kenya housing, and I told them I am going to create jobs using this housing. And they agreed with me. And I have created jobs using housing. The mechanism of delivery could be this way or that way. Did I make a commitment to the people of Kenya that I'm going to implement housing? Yes. Did I tell them we will create jobs using housing? Yes. Have I implemented the program on housing? Yes. Have I created jobs using housing? Yes.
That you did and you are doing.
And you see,
Mr. President, sorry for this, but Mr. President, you are saying that you promised all those things and you are doing. But when people tell you, we don't want it, it is too expensive for us, you change it from a levy, from housing fund, from a contribution to a tax that is not even, you can't recoup it after the 7 years. How did the translation into that become?
You see, Sam, you know, you're splitting hairs.
I'm not splitting.
Yes, you are. Because what you are saying, you're trying to find fault. What is the greater good? What is the national interest? I mean, to you, does creating 120,000 jobs register anything good?
It is a good thing, but I'm asking you about public participation.
That's making sure that an ordinary person who would otherwise never have a chance to own a home, now they have a chance to own a home. Does that make sense to anybody? Yes, it does.
And the
so you see, if you pass an exam with 80%, it's an A, my brother. It may not be 100% what I wanted, but it is 80% what I wanted. It is doing 80% of the job. Surely give me some marks.
Mr. President, the question is at what cost? At what cost, Mr. President? Because granted, the people told you they need jobs. This means they do not have the jobs. This means they do not have money in their pockets. And in response, what you're doing is taxing them further.
But let me ask you, my dear sister, the people who are working today did not have a job, right? Those are the people in the street. They didn't have a job. The people who have a job have had to pay 1.5%. 1.5% so that we can give a job to somebody else. And for your information, that somebody else that is getting a job is a taxpayer. They contribute to what we eventually earn. Is it too much for us as public servants who earn a salary to give 1.5% of our salary so that somebody else, another Kenyan, who is also a taxpayer, who also deserves something, they don't have a job because the job maybe they would have, I have. But I'm being asked, contribute 1.5% so that that other Kenyan who is walking in the street can have a job.
But it's not just that, Mr. President.
Let me just finish. They too can own a home the same way you own a home. I don't think that is being asked.
It's not just that, Mr. President.
Bado hujalijibu la mwenzangu Wafula pale. Amesema iweje wakati huu ndio munaleta tuseme hizi taxations nyingi, mumeanza na affordable housing na bado hatuja elewa vizuri zaidi, tuko kwa health, bado tunajaribu taxations. Kwa nini zimekuja kwa wakati mmoja kiasi cha kwamba Mkenya anasikia uzito? Kwa nini isikwende step by step kiasi cha kwamba hata Mkenya atajua ni kweli tunasonga mbele lakini si finyiki, maisha yako sawa?
Wacha nikueleze. Mambo ya health kwa mfano. It is the profiling, it is the spin that you people are many people, let me not accuse you, many people are spinning it. What are we doing? What are we doing in health? We are saying in health, we want to reduce those who are, and they are, by the way, the majority of the people who are, when I spoke about hustlers, people thought I was not serious. I was very serious. That is why I am saying, those of us who have a job, let's contribute 1.5% good people, so that those of us who are hustlers, the people in the street, can, even them, they can have a job. They now have 120,000 of them on a job. That's number one. On this, on the health, what are we doing? We are saying three things. Number one, for the first time, every Kenyan, even those who today cannot afford nothing, they will have a health insurance. For the first time. Number two, those who, the kind of unfairness that there can be. Mama Mboga is paying 10% of our income for health insurance. William Ruto, the president of Kenya, is paying 0.001%. Why? All we are saying is, let everybody pay an equal percentage of what they earn. Is that too much to ask? What will happen? The people who are paying 500 will come down to 300. Is there anybody saying that there are people who will get an insurance cover who do not have? No. Are there people who are saying that those at the bottom of the pyramid will reduce their money or their contribution from 500 to 300? No. The people who are talking are not talking about those things because they are not convenient, and because many of us believe those people don't matter. I want to tell you, my friends, those people are also Kenyans. They matter the same way we do. Let us give them a chance.
And Mr. President,
let us give them a chance to also participate in Kenya. Let us give that fellow, that mama who has no chance. And let me tell you, for the first time, a person who would otherwise die of cancer or diabetes or hypertension, because when they go to hospital, they are told they don't have the money. For the first time, we have a special kitty, which all of us will contribute and give everybody a chance at life. I mean, my friends, all we are saying is, let us have a country where nobody is left behind.
Maybe the question...
Because we are just thinking about ourselves. We are discussing how our salary is going to be, how 1.5% of our salary... There are people who have never seen a pay slip. There are people who really, genuinely, don't have a chance at life. I am asking the rest of Kenya, please, let us give a chance at life to many more Kenyans than those of us who are employed. We are only 3 million. We have 10 million people out there.
Mheshimiwa Rais, umesema kwamba makato haya mapya ya bima ya afya yatashughulikia kila Mkenya kupata matibabu. Na kwa Wakenya ambao hawana uwezo wa kulipia bima hii, mtawashughulikia vipi kama serikali?
Kabisa, you have asked me the best question. Ukisoma sheria mpya ambayo tumepitisha hizi sheria 4, tumesema wale wa Kenya ambao hawawezi kulipa, serikali ya Kenya tutawalipia. Kila mtu atakuwa na bima ya afya.
Uko na takwimu ni Wakenya wangapi?
Na wale tayari tuko na wale ambao wako katika programu hii yetu ya social cash transfer. They are about 2 million. But my estimate is that another 3 million will be in that category. People who cannot afford. Hawa pia watu karibu milioni 5 watapata bima ya afya, italipwa na serikali ya Kenya katika mpango mpya. Jameni, na wauliza wa Kenya, hata na wao ni wa Kenya, tuwafikirie. Na wale wako chini pale, karibu wa Kenya wengine karibu milioni 8-9 ambao wanalipa saa hizi shilingi 500, tutawapunguzia shilingi 300 kwa mwezi. Na wale hawana uwezo kabisa tutawalipia. Na jambo lingine la muhimu zaidi, wacha niwaambie, hii ni ya muhimu na Wakenya wasikie. Pesa ya NHIF kwa sasa karibu 50% inabebwa na watu wanafanya kitu inaitwa fake claims. Mumesikia kwa mfano kuna hospitali moja hapa Kino. Simulisikia? Ilikuwa kwa vyombo vya habari. Ati wanafanya operation ya upasuaji kuzidi Kenyatta, Aga Khan na hospitali zingine zote combined. Ni nini wanafanya? Ukora mtupu. Yeah? Wanaenda saa zingine wanatangaza ati kuna medical camp. Lakini ile medical camp sio eti ya ukweli, ni kukusanya wagonjwa. Alafu wanachukua majina ya hao watu, wanakuja wanajaza form ya NHIF, wanawalipia wao. Alafu bila ya wale kujua, wanaenda kuclaim pale NHIF. Ndio sababu tumeweka sheria maalum inaitwa Digital Health Bill ama law, ambayo sasa itatusaidia kufunga hiyo mambo yote. Na ndio sababu Sam, nikuambie, ndio unaona wewe Wafula usikize vizuri, ndio unaona wale wamepeleka makesi kotini ndio wawa, kwa sababu hawataki hii sheria. Ndio wanaendesha hii propaganda kubwa, iko shida kubwa sana, Wakenya wapinge hii mambo ya health, kwa sababu wanataka kuendelea kuiba pesa ya wananchi ama ya afya.
Kwa nini usiwafungulie mashtaka Mheshimiwa Rais?
Wale tayari tumewashawafungulia mashtaka na tayari tutawapeleka kotini, kwa sababu we want to make sure, my friends, wakati unaona kesi iko kotini, imetumwa kotini na watu ambao ni beneficiaries ya the kind of corruption that is going on in NHIF. That is why they don't want us to change the law. That is why they have put together big cases to stop the laws we have changed, because these laws will change and seal the loopholes they've been using to steal our money. And I am very determined, by the way, to stop them. And I will stop them.
Mr. President,
because
yes.
we have dissected the problem properly. And we want a country that leaves nobody behind. That is why we have the Digital Health Bill. We have the Social Health Authority that is going to make sure that we carry everybody along.
Right.
And I am very confident when the court finally sits, they will see the value we have in this bill. I am not a madman.
Right. And Mr. President,
to do things that I know are not good for the country. But also, I am this one person. You know, the problem we've had in Kenya, my dear sister, is that leaders have never wanted to do the right thing. We know what is right, but we want to do what is convenient. We want to do what is politically right. I have decided, as William Ruto, that we have been looking for a guy to bail the cat. I will do it. We have been looking for a person to blame when we do the right thing. I'm ready to carry any blame. Okay. But I must do one thing. I must do what is right, and I must sort out our country. We've been postponing this, you know, and people would rather, and many people ask me, oh, you know, the way you're going, you will not get a second term. You know, let me tell you, I am very clear in my mind. I was not elected to look for a second term. I was elected to get the country out of the mess. I was elected to create jobs. I was elected to implement universal health coverage that has been on our cards forever. I intend to do precisely that. Right. Many people, including my friends who are religious leaders, they have told me, oh, you see, you know, even though you said this, you must not do it, you know. That is what even the opposition is, they wrote in their manifesto, the housing, but now when it comes to implement it, they don't want to do it because they want us to continue the same thing, to lie to the people. To lie to the people, we are going to do this. When you don't mean it, we're going to do this.
Mr. President,
for the first time,
yes.
I meant everything that I wrote in that manifesto. Right. And I have every intention to make sure that I implement it because I know finally the people of Kenya will know that I did the right thing and they will reward me accordingly.
Sam, maybe just a question that still remains.
Just a moment, yeah? Yes. Because we need to transition in the next few minutes to the question of corruption and the war against it. Yeah. But you're saying something, I have read the bill, and most of us have, I mean, the laws now, and they're quite transformative, so to speak. But then again, the process is as important. I have heard you on several occasions saying that the contribution to the Social Health Insurance Fund will be 2.75%, so that it is equal across board. Your Cabinet Secretary, Nakhumicha Wafula, says that I had actually said it was going to be 2.75%, but capped at 5,000 shillings. And I wonder, because the law as it is says that the Cabinet Secretary shall bring regulations to the floor of the House. That has not happened. You are speaking about 2.75% without a cap. USCS is saying with a cap. We have had the experience of rates being proposed. Just hold on.
I didn't tell you that there will be no cap. I told you 2.7% provide equity. What will happen is we are taking the regulations to the public. Yeah, because that's what is required of us.
So what is the rate?
And many Kenyans, it's 2.57, it's 2.75. Many Kenyans will speak to it. You know, whatever Kenyans will speak to it, they will look at it this way, they will look at it that way. It will go to Parliament. Parliament will speak to it. Finally, the final product will come from public participation. And
that is the essence of my question, Mr. President, if I may conclude it. That is the essence of the question, because Kenyans will speak. It will go to the floor of the House. They spoke on housing levy. It went to the floor of the House. It was changed, totally different from what was taken to the people. How shall we trust the process?
You know, that's what democracy is all about. You know, many people actually have told me, what you are trying to do in Kenya is not possible. Because many countries that are democratic, you cannot do this. For you to do this, you have to be like country X, where the president says, and it's final. You know, that is what happened in other countries. I don't want to mention countries. Yeah, this only happens in countries that are not democratic. But I'm telling them, I will persuade the people of Kenya. That's why I'm sitting here. I am sitting here to persuade the people of Kenya, so that because I know what we are doing is not normal. And by the way, it is not that I expected that it was going to be smooth sailing. I knew it was going to be difficult. Because what I am trying to do is transformative. What I am trying to do is to change Kenya. I am challenging the status quo. I am challenging what has always been there, the norms. And that's why even you guys, you look at me and you're wondering. But, you know, that's how we're going to change a country. Changing a country is not a walk in the park.
Utahusisha wananchi katika hili swala?
Kabisa, si ndio nimekuambia. Saa hizi tumepublish regulations. Sasa imeenda
bila mabadiliko yoyote kama
imeenda kwa wananchi.
Na je, hisia za mwananchi utazisikiza ama utazikumbatia?
Vile wananchi walibadilisha housing levy, si nilikubali. So ikienda bunge, ikienda kwa wananchi wenyewe waseme.
It is not citizens that changed it, it is parliament.
It's parliament.
You should go and read the public
participation report. I read it, and majority of them were opposed to the introduction of it.
Read it again, and Parliament took into account the views of the people who went to for public participation. And you see, Parliament is also an independent institution. You want me to dictate to Parliament, and I will not, Sam. You know that's not possible.
Mheshimiwa, naomba tuendelee na mjadala sasa katika swala la vita dhidi ya ufisadi. Umekuwa na umetoka kifua mbele, baadhi ya hotuba zako katika kipindi cha wiki moja pia imesisitiza sana swala hili la vita dhidi ya ufisadi. Lakini kwa upande mwingine hizi asasi ambazo zimepewa majukumu ya kutekeleza vita hivi pia ni kana kwamba vinasukumwa huku na kule. Kwa sababu gani? Nitakupatia mfano. Kesi ya Kimarer na Aror hivi majuzi imetaja kuwa hakuna ushahidi wa kutosha. Kulikuwa na jitihada pale za tume ya ufisadi na maadili nchini katika kuhakikisha kwamba wanatengeneza kesi. Je, ina maana kwamba asasi zako kuna baadhi zinalegea katika kutekeleza wajibu wake, kwa mfano afisi ya DPP?
Kwanza niliwaambia Wakenya katika serikali yangu hakutakuwa na pesa ya kuibiwa. I think I made that statement. I said there will be no money to be stolen. And many people are wondering what that meant. Because what we are doing now, for example, and I will come back to your question, because we are talking about corruption.
Yep.
How do we put mechanisms in place to stop theft, corruption, pilferage? And I have told you the greatest enabler that is going to make us overcome the challenge of corruption is through digitization. It is the reason why I embarked on digitizing government services. From 350, now we are at 14,000. We were collecting 60 million on e-citizen every day. Today we are collecting 600 million every day. My plan is that by next year, we should be collecting minimum 2 billion shillings on e-citizen every day. What does that do? It stops the corrupt. It stops people stealing. It stops privilege. And for your information, let me just give you a statistic. KWS, right? Their budget for a whole year was 4.3 billion, but given them actually a budget of 4.5 billion. In 6 months, because of e-citizen, in 6 months, they have collected 4.3 billion. Half the year, they have collected what we had, what they had been given as an estimate for the whole year, which means by the end of this year, they will double their collection. I'm just giving you one incident. So what will that do? That is how my plan on how to manage corruption, number one. Number two, I promised the people of Kenya that the independence of the judiciary is going to be sacrosanct. I can tell you for free that they have never received a telephone call from the president to tell them, manage this case in this manner, that manner, this corrupt person or that corrupt person. I promise the same to EACC, I promise the same to DCI, I promise the same to DPP. It is their responsibility. They ask me for support, and I have given as much support as I can muster to all these institutions. Let's come to the, are they doing what they should do? It is not for me to judge. It's for the people of Kenya to judge, because they report to us. I am telling them what I can within the separation of powers, that it is our expectation. That's why I'm speaking publicly, in public fora, to tell them, look, the people of Kenya have expectations that those who are corrupt, and if there is anybody who is corrupt, has a matter, and they say, and one of the agencies say, oh, the president told us not to prosecute this person, I would say in public, in front of TV, they should tell me. Because I will never do such a thing. Coming to Kimwarer, if you followed Kimwarer, I said in the campaign trail that the case for Kimwarer was a fraud. Because it was. Because it was. Because that case was being used politically. And that is why I have said we do not want political cases. And that's why I have told the investigative agencies, I don't want them to help me with politics. I will do my politics. I will look for supporters. I will look for all these groups, lobby groups and what have you. I will do politics. Them, they should dispense justice. No. And under my administration, there is nobody who will be prosecuted because of politics or politically, or because they are not aligned to this way and that way. But nobody is going to hide behind politics. That because you are a politician, or because you are a friend of the president, or because you are a relative of the president, you cannot be prosecuted. That one I have said in public, and I have told every cabinet minister, nobody should go to their office and tell them the president has sent them, or they are a relative of Mr. X or Mr. Y. I will not send anybody to any office to do anything.
Na,
they must do their job in accordance with the law.
Mheshimiwa Rais, unaposema kesi ya Ruto na Kimwarer ilikuwa ni utapeli, unamaanisha kwamba hakuna pesa zozote za mtozo ushuru zilizopotea katika kesi hii inayohusiana na mabwawa ya Ruto na Kimwarer?
Sisi ndio tulipoteza hiyo pesa, kwa sababu serikali wakati ilienda ikasimamisha the contractors went to court, right? Because they hadn't committed any crime. Number one, we were supposed to give them land to do the dam. We didn't give them the land. The land was there. But somehow, and I don't want to accuse, I think we have said let's not talk about the past. Whoever was there decided they should not get the land because they wanted to frustrate the project. The thing disappeared. The DCI was mobilized to go and get the contractor in Itare. You know, up to today, nobody knows what the problem was with Itare. They went to court. We have had to go and negotiate. I have had to go and negotiate with Italy, for your information, for us to settle, because we were going to pay 40 billion for nothing, without anything on the ground. So we've had to negotiate.
So then, is there a correlation between your negotiations with the Italian government, and the president was actually here, of Italy, that is? Is there a relationship between that and the withdrawal of charges against all these accused persons?
No, ask the court. I mean, the court has been going on.
Yeah.
What did the court say? There were no witnesses, because what happened?
The court said this was a prosecution-driven acquittal. Because there's no longer any cooperation. And the reason I'm asking this question is because you stood at the steps of the front of this building and you said that you have agreed with the president of Italy to withdraw all cases against the farms in Italy, and Italy was also going to withdraw all cases against the government of Kenya.
Correct.
So I'm asking the question because initially there were several people that had been presented before court. Some of them, I think even the current central bank governor, Kamau Thuge. Is there a relationship? Because you said withdrawal will be done.
When we talked about...
Is there a consequence?
No. What we said about the withdrawal was they took us to court in London. We made a counterclaim just to make sure that we are not exposed. So when we made the counterclaim, then that's how the case was continuing. So we said, for that matter, they are going to withdraw their case in the arbitration court. We were going to do the same. It had nothing to do with the cases in Kenya, because the cases in Kenya were criminal. The cases in the arbitration were contractual. So these were very different cases. So the case has been going on in the Kenyan courts, mention after mention. I mean, and by the way, those cases were going on even before I came to office. They had been there for 3 years, and it hadn't moved 1 inch. Why?
Do you think there was any feasibility study done on the two dams? Do you know of any?
That is now for you to determine.
No, I'm asking
because,
you.
you have all the information, because you know that there was supposed to be a feasibility study. You must be having the information.
I don't have the information. You're the president of Kenya.
You should be
What's the feasibility study?
What I can tell you is that contract of Kimwaren and Aror was signed with other contracts, similar contracts, in the front of State House here, in the presence of the president then. I wasn't even there.
And that's what I'm asking.
Those contracts were signed.
That's what I'm asking you. Are you aware of any feasibility study for the two?
I am aware that the contracts were as legitimate as they were signed.
Okay.
They were signed before two heads of government at that point in time. And if there was any problem with them, it should have come out in court.
The reason I'm asking that is because you then, I don't know, should I conclude that you don't have any information of any feasibility study? Because if there was none, then that is contrary to procurement laws.
If you know that there was none,
I'm asking, I don't know.
No, if you don't know, why are you asking?
I'm asking you.
No, if you don't know, why are you making an assertion on something that you don't know?
I've asked you a question.
What I can tell you is that